Step 3 is to go out and conduct the interviews. It is recommended that you complete this step by March 23rd. To do so, you'll interview your participants using a protocol. These are open-ended questions you ask during an interview that are designed to inform or illuminate your research question. Normally, researchers develop their own protocol. However, your protocol has been developed for you to illuminate your particular research question. The 5 questions here you will ask your participants. Overall, how would you describe your level of knowledge about the school or organization? Are there activities or other things about our school organization that you think are publicized well? If so, what are they? Are there things you would like to see publicized better? If so, what are they? Are there things about the school or organization about which you're unclear? Why do you think they're unclear? Is there anything else you'd like to share with me? Any modifications or additions to this protocol should be approved by the instructor. As you're doing the interview, you should record your notes in an abbreviated form. In large qualitative studies, you might have an actual transcript where every word is taken down of the interview. Again, that is not necessary for this assignment. But in Appendix B of that overview document is a place that you could actually jot down the answers to some of the questions. Some people like to do this in bulleted form. I'll let you work out what's most comfortable with you. For you, you will not actually be turning your notes in, so if you just want to do it on a piece of paper, that's fine. One special kind of jotting down is called in vivo. If words that the participant says catches your attention, if they say something particularly striking, you could record what they actually say. Suppose, for example, they said, love this school. You could put that in quotation marks, and that would be called an in vivo code. And the fact that it's in quotation marks would be an indicator to you later that the participant actually said that. But the idea is you're going to just take general notes on each question for each participant. Step 5 in the process is to analyze your qualitative data. By that I mean the notes that you took during the interviews. It is recommended that you complete the step by April 13th. If you are doing this project alone, you should have 2 interview sheets for 2 participants. If you are doing this project with a partner, you should have 4 interview sheets, 2 each. You will then complete the coding process together. The first thing to do is to type up your notes and put them in column A of the form in Appendix C. So you can see here, this student took some bulleted notes that start, and they typed them up in column A. Too much emphasis on sports, not enough on academics, therefore I never know when the academic competitions are held. Kids need both. This participant likes the parent nights, but I'm not always sure when they are held. And parent volunteers know they are always welcome. So these are the 3 bullets. Of course, there would be many more, but this is a sample. And the idea here is to highlight words or phrases that encompass a whole thought. So the first highlight, too much emphasis on sports, could be seen as an encapsulated idea, as could I never know when academic competitions are held, or the idea that they like the parent nights, not always sure when they are held, always welcome. People will ask me if there's a correct way to code, and part of the frustration of qualitative coding is there are no correct answers. So it's something that you work out on your own. What do you think are the correct or the encapsulated thoughts? I will not be correcting your coding, so I want to remove that as an anxiety. Another note about how to code at this level, these codes are called open codes. So too much emphasis on sports is an open code. Some researchers call them first cycle codes. Some people like to print the notes out and do this by hand because they're not adept at computer highlighting, and I'm perfectly fine for that with that because you're not going to be handing these in. Do whatever's easiest for you. So you highlight all of your information into open codes. This is a step 1 of this part. Step 2 of analyzing the qualitative data is to collapse your open codes into axial codes. So, for example, the open code, too much emphasis on sports, has been relabeled overemphasis on sports. The open code, I never know when academic competitions are held, kids need both, has been relabeled as unclear schedule academics. Like the parent nights has been relabeled positive parent outreach. Not always sure when they're held has been relabeled unclear schedule parent nights. Always welcome at the bottom, parent volunteers always welcome, positive parent outreach. So you're just trying to find categories, and some of these categories, some of these codes, open codes, may go into the same category. Notice, for example, that like the parent nights and always welcome have been coded as positive parent outreach because they're both about positive things that are going on in the school for the parents. Notice that not always sure when they are held has quotation marks about it, and that is because it's an in vivo quote. The participant actually said that. Step 3 is to take those column B codes, which, by the way, I forgot to mention are called axial codes. So let's be clear. In column A, you had open codes. In column B, you had axial codes. Sometimes people call them first cycle and second cycle codes. And now we're going to collapse them even further into what are called themes. Some people, and these are located in column C, some people call these third cycle codes. So first cycle open codes, column A. Second cycle axial codes, column B. Third cycle themes, column C. Notice how unclear schedule academics is now just, there's an unclear scheduling problem in the school. Positive parent outreach has kept the same name, but unclear schedule parent nights now falls under unclear scheduling. So appears to be both a problem with understanding the schedule for academics and parent nights, and that's been labeled unclear scheduling. Positive parent outreach. Notice now we really only have 2 themes, unclear scheduling and positive parent outreach. So the idea is to get the open codes into fewer axial codes and the axial codes into even fewer themes. People ask, how many themes should I have? The recommended amount is somewhere between 3 and 6 or 7. If you have fewer than 3, it may be that you're collapsing things into 2 general categories, and you need to look for some finer distinctions. If you have more than 6 or 7, you may not be getting general enough. You may be coding too finitely and putting things into separate categories. Please feel free to sign up for a Skype session with me if you're having trouble with this. The last step is to develop a brief presentation of your findings and recommendations. Most of you will be doing that in a PowerPoint. Some of you may prefer a Prezi if you know how to do that. PowerPoint is fine though. And this should summarize your school or district or other organization public relations policy and recommend modifications for improvement based on the data that you collected. At a minimum, your PowerPoint should have the following slides. A title slide with the name of your research study and the people who worked on it. You may come up with your own name for your research study. It should be yourself, and if you have a co-presenter, put both authors' names on the same PowerPoint. Summarize your public relations or communication policy. In other words, what did you find out about it? This doesn't have to be a long analysis, just a few sentences on 1 or 2 slides. Copy and paste the research question onto a slide. Provide some general details on your participants. Please don't use real names, use pseudonyms. For example, you might say the principal at a local school that he's worked for 15 years there, whatever you'd like to, and make sure that it's not too identifying. Again, if it's only a PowerPoint, it will be for my eyes only. We're going to have to be a little more nuanced if you're doing a practitioner article, which I'll talk about later. Provide a few slides that summarize your themes. Some people like to provide a representative quotation. What I mean by that is, if one of your themes is that they like the parent nights, and the participant actually said, I really get into or enjoy the parent nights that we have, you could put that in quotations on your slide, but that's not necessary for this project since we're just taking brief notes. But you do have to present your themes. And probably one of the most important parts is the recommendations section. This should consist of a few slides to present your recommendations regarding what should be done to improve or when you create a public relations policy, what should it focus on? It's important to note that your recommendations should be tied into your findings. And then, for example, if participants were unclear about the schedule for school events, one of the recommendations related to this theme would be for the school website to develop a special section devoted to school events. So do you see how that recommendation is tightly tied to one of your themes? Sometimes people want to give 20 recommendations and they're not supported by the themes. It is better to have a few recommendations based on your data than many recommendations that your data cannot support. So if you have 3 or 4 themes that came out in your data, you might have 3 or 4 recommendations. Finally, end with a concluding slide, a slide that summarizes the study. Sometimes it's good to end with a quote or a picture or a concluding slide so that the viewer is just not left hanging after the recommendations. There is a practitioner article option here, but I will work with you on that separately. Please email me if you're considering this and let me know you wish to select this option. I have heard from a couple of you. If you do select this option, we may have to extend the deadline a bit because there'll be more involved. Sign up for office hours on the wiki and we will Skype to work it out. And here's the link for the office hours wiki. If you're working with a partner on this, let's try to arrange to all be present and Skype together. Finally, you should complete the fieldwork summary form, basically just a signature, certifying that you spent 15 hours on this project, and it's located in Appendix D of the overview document, and upload it along with your PowerPoint presentations by May 11th. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at nhalbrenner@mercy.edu or sign up for Skype office hours at the wiki link.